Hi, everyone. My name is Kumar Singh, and I'm a research director with SAP Insider. As you know, in the technology brief video series, we interview leading thought leaders and experts in SAP technology ecosystem. The topic we are going to discuss today is a really interesting and a very critical topic in today's era, and that is unified commerce. And to discuss that, we have the privilege to have with us one of the leading experts in the domain, Scott Walker from DataXstream with us. Scott, first of all, thanks a lot for taking time to be part of this video series.
Yeah, of course, my pleasure. Yeah.
And I would love if you could share a little bit about yourself with our audience.
Yeah, sure, Kumar. Thank you very much. As you mentioned, my name is Scott Walker. I'm the Vice President of Product Delivery here at DataXstream. We implement SAP solutions, many different shapes and sizes, many different business lines and companies, and I'm pleased to be here.
So like I was mentioning earlier, the topic that we are going to discuss is unified commerce. And just like I quoted in the introduction, the time to discuss this is apt because of the rapidly evolving customer demand, the evolving customer expectations. We have seen this come across as one of the key business drivers in most of our SAP Insider research reports, where organizations, whether it's investing in data or analytics or other technologies, our SAP Insider cite evolution of customer expectations and demand as one of the key business drivers. Now, omni-channel is something that's discussed a lot these days, but my perception is that unified commerce kind of takes it a step beyond, and it's a much stronger integration and exchange of information across channels. But again, like I mentioned earlier in the beginning to our audience, you are the expert in this domain. So why don't we start by understanding a little bit more about what exactly unified commerce means and why it's critical to build this capability today?
Yeah, no, that's great. That's a fantastic lead in, because that's exactly where I wanted to start is what we need to do first is understand what's the difference between omnichannel and unified commerce. And omnichannel really refers to a model where you can touch your customer at multiple touch points: web, call center, counter, print, perhaps, many different touch points. But with omnichannel, you're not necessarily referring to one single system that handles all of those touch points. Your e-com platform may have a different database and a different system of record than what the users are using, helping the customer at the store at the counter, versus what somebody in a call center may see when a customer calls and needs some assistance. Whereas unified commerce really talks about all of those touch points meeting at the same system of record. So all of your different associates or business lines, anytime a customer needs some assistance, they're dealing with a single point of truth, a single version of the information, no lag. If you place the order today, I'm sorry, I can't help you till tomorrow because the e-com system needs to synchronize with the system that I look at, right? So that's really the big difference there, is that that sort of real-time information of availability that allows essentially a customer service representative to assist your customers in the most efficient manner with the most up-to-date data.
So that was really insightful, Scott, and I love the differentiating aspect that you have walked us through between the omni-channel and unified commerce, right? Because I see that a lot of people and even retailers, they basically kind of consider these as one and the same, but that's not exactly the case. Like you just walked us through, unified commerce is, as I was mentioning earlier, and you kind of beautifully explained, is a much tighter integration between all the channels, having all the data in one place, no discrepancy between data from different channels, and all those aspects is really a critical capability to have in today's world, specifically in the last couple of years as the brick and mortar, I would say the framework of many retailers got disrupted and customers kind of tried starting leveraging different channels more extensively versus before the pandemic. So there's no doubt that this is a really critical capability that organizations need to build. Now, from a SAP perspective, how exactly, like what are some of the technology nuances and let's say people and processes nuances that they need to take into consideration to build this capability? In short, the question that I'm asking is how exactly can they build this capability, and would love to get inputs from you from a SAP environment perspective on this.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I think probably if you're watching this video, you understand that SAP as an ERP system is extremely capable and extremely powerful, and can and does have the ability to handle the information coming in from all these different channels. And there's a lot of tools out there to assist users to better get at that data, tools to better assist users to help the customers. For example, DataXstream provides one that I'm sure we'll talk about at some point here. But SAP is an extremely capable platform, and it has multiple touch points available to all of these different systems. That there's just really no good reason at all why the SAP is not as an ERP is not the single system that's recording all of this transactional data coming in from the different channels.
Yeah, and I totally align with that. Definitely SAP has the capability to, I would say, integrate or accumulate data coming from all the different channels. And this is, like you mentioned, where solutions like DataXstream come into picture and kind of add, I would say, more like a value add layer or capability into the SAP technology ecosystem. So if you could walk us more through how exactly DataXstream does that and what are the aspects or capabilities it provides to its users, that will be great, Scott.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for asking, Kumar. Yeah, so at DataXstream here, we provide a user experience specifically for customer service representatives. So we're talking about user assisted transactions, whether they be at your company's counter, think of point of sale, whether they be at a call center, user needs to bring up customer information quickly, needs to look at customer order data information quickly, and needs all of that data aggregated in one place that's easy for them to interact with their customer and give them the best possible customer experience, because we're giving the users the best possible user experience. So the solution that we provide is uses SAP as the single system of record. Anytime that you're inside of our interface and you need to ask a question about an order, you need to ask a question about customer data, we're always going to reach into SAP in order to provide that answer to the user. And so as we talk about things like omnichannel and unified commerce, what really sets our solution apart, OMS Plus, is that it is indeed in the unified commerce. It is in the universe of unified commerce, whereas we do use SAP as the single source of record, the single point of data for all of our user-assisted transactions. And what we do is we sort of do three big things. SAP is an extremely powerful tool. It has all of the information that you need to assist your customers. Something that can be a little bit time consuming is that because it has all of this data, a user may have to go to different places to find, the 6 pieces of information that they need to best assist their customer. You might need order information. You might need credit availability. You might need to see some information from purchasing if you've submitted something out to a vendor and you're waiting on it for it to come in. And what our tool really does is aggregate all of that information into one place that makes it extremely easy for your users to assist your customer. And if you're making it very easy for your users to assist your customer, you are in turn providing a very good customer experience. So.
Definitely. And I really like 2 key aspects from what you have mentioned here. One is identifying that pain point that you mentioned, like SAP is a really powerful system. It's kind of a great tool that captures many different data points, but a pain point that you identified as sometimes customers may have to, end users may have to go to different modules to kind of look at different data sources. So identifying that pain point and help providing a solution around that is one of the key aspects of a successful solution. So I really like that aspect. And then the second aspect when I think about it is it's the unified commerce aspect of aggregating, interconnecting all those different data points and providing basically a aggregated single source of truth to the end user. I think about it from an analytics point of view as well in a number of ways that the data can be actually then further leveraged, right, to get more insights into your customers. So a really great solution in my perspective that kind of fills a void in terms of a user need and adding value, and is kind of strategic in nature as well from a unified commerce perspective. So talking about that, I would assume that a solution like this must have leveraged some rich value to its customers and users. So from your experience, from your own solution, DataXstream, what are some of the benefits your customers have experienced across industries and geographies? I know you have kind of a good customer base. Would love to know what kind of some examples, could be a detailed example or some overview or both, of some of the benefits your customers have experienced by leveraging a unified commerce solution like yours.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's really there's really two things that I'd like to highlight here. And the first one is, as we were talking about, SAP and how much data it stores, and how how perhaps one of the pain points is, I have to go look in a few different places to get all the information I need. One of the really nice things about OMS Plus as an interface and having all of that data aggregated in one spot is that you can significantly reduce user training time, right? If you only need to teach a person all of the information you need is right here in this one screen, and you don't have to teach them how to go get all the information from 6 different places, you can really, really cut down on, how quickly you can bring a new user up to speed. One of the other things that's great about it is that not only as it relates to that, if you as a new user are looking at the exact same information as a seasoned user, perhaps somebody that's training you, it's going to be really, really easy then to watch them and see what they're doing and say, oh, I see exactly where you have all this information, and I understand how to utilize this to help our customers when they need some assistance. One of the other points that we'd like to talk about here is as it comes to how can I get my materials to my customers in the most effective way. And again, we talk about SAP as a very powerful tool, and SAP has all the information that you need. But this is another area where you may have to go look in a few different spots to find exactly the data you're looking for. Whereas when we aggregate all that information into one tool and we can see across locations, across our entire company, where do I have these materials that where do I have these materials? Is there a location right down the road that I can simply tell the customer, hey, I'm sorry, I don't have those today, but our store that's 2 blocks away, they have them right in stock, and you can drive down there and get them? Or do I, using the information that's available to me, do I need to make a decision about, well, the best way to help my customer right now is to just purchase this from a vendor. And that's very simple to do in our interface. It's, a button click to source something directly from a vendor and have it shipped to our customer. So really having all of the material information and be able to look across our entire supply chain is really going to help us make a really good informed decision about what's the best way to service my customer.
Great. I mean, it's kind of a beautiful example of the combination of people, processes, and technology aspect as you were walking us through the benefit. Leveraging technology as an enabler, the example of training that you mentioned, like reduced training time, was the people aspect. And then there's this process aspect of how you can fulfill your customer demand in the most efficient way that enhances customer experience as well. So definitely a great way to kind of summarize the benefits that your customers are experiencing from the solution. This brings us to the last question of our discussion, Scott. Based on your experience having helped customers implement this capability, what are some of the recommendations or like some key next steps, or I would say points to consider that you would have to suggest or share with our audience when they are thinking about, embarking on building this kind of capability?
Yeah, absolutely. And as I mentioned at the beginning, we have delivered our solution OMS Plus to a number of different lines of business, companies all over the world. And what you really need to think about when you're implementing any solution, not necessarily just OMS Plus, but when you're trying to get to a unified commerce state, and you're looking at the tools to do that, is that you're an SAP customer and you need to treat these very much like an SAP implementation project, right? So there's the best way to approach these things, like an OMS Plus implementation, is to just follow the steps that you have laid out already, right? We need to gather requirements. We need to look at, we need to really take a hard look at some of our business processes and see if there's room for improvement there. We need to figure out what our pain points are and figure out the best way to use the solution in a way that's going to help us, not make those pain points anymore. And then we really just need to look at speed and efficiency. Is the tool that we're trying to implement, is this going to help our users do their job more efficiently, right? So these are really the common things that we need to think about when we're talking about unified commerce and we're looking at solution providers. And then the big one, obviously, is SAP going to be the system of record here? Because if we're really truly looking to get to a unified commerce experience, we need to make sure that we do have that single point of truth.
Makes complete sense. And that brings us to the end of our discussion. Scott, thanks again for your time, and we really appreciate having you on this show with us. And hopefully in the future, we will love to have you again to discuss another specific topic in the area of unified commerce with you. Thanks again for your time.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm happy to do this again. My pleasure.